The air inside the moon base was thin, but buzzing with energy. It was the final day of the peace exchange between humans and the Aurelianza, proud alien race known for their war traditions. Glowing eyes and tall, graceful builds. Commander Rain. Carter stood awkwardly near the edge of the ceremonial hall, surrounded by towering alien statues. He was the only human on the station, sent to represent Earth. His uniform looked dull next to the colorful silk robes of the Aurelian diplomats. Across the room, a young Aurelian girl leaned against a pillar. Her skin was pale gold, her hair silver blue, and braided tightly, and her expression mischievous. Her name was Valari, a daughter of one of the minor Aurelian noble families. She was curious about humans, especially this one. "You look bored, Earthman," Valari teased, walking up to him with a sly smile. Rain smiled politely. "A little. I don't speak your language very well. Everyone's staring like I'm a monkey in a space zoo." Valari chuckled, her violet eyes narrowing playfully. "Then maybe you need something ... exciting." She turned and led him to a glass case. Inside, it was a set of ancient armored dark metal with swirling gold engravings. A helmet shaped like a beast's head rested beside it. The armor looked old yet powerful, sacred. "This belonged to my ancestor, the great warrior Queen Zara," she said. "They say no one can wear it unless the armor chooses them." Rain raised an eyebrow. "Sounds dramatic." Valari laughed. "Want to try it on? Just for fun? It'll probably reject you and knock you back into the wall. It's done that to stronger aliens than you." Rain hesitated. "You're not serious?" She shrugged. "Afraid, human?" He smirked, stepping forward. "All right. Let's see what this warrior queen thinks of me." Valari opened the case. Using her family's biometric key, the armor hissed softly as the seal broke. A faint pulse of energy rippled through the air. Rain reached in and touched the chest plate. It was warm. It's not like cold metal, but warm like skin. "Put it on," Valari whispered, suddenly serious. Piece by piece, Rain placed the armor on his body. It adjusted itself, straps sliding, metal flexing. The helmet snapped into place with a soft click. Then it began to glow. Gold lines lit up across the surface. The engravings pulsed with life, moving like rivers under glass. A deep humming sound filled the room. Everyone in the chamber stopped. Valari stepped back, her eyes wide. "That's not supposed to happen." Rain tried to remove the helmet, but it wouldn't move. The armor locked in place, hugging his body like a second skin. His vision changed. He could suddenly see faint heat signatures, and energy flows in. The room, his hearing sharpened. He could hear whispers across the chamber. "What's going on?" Rain asked. His voice, deeper, echoed through the helmet. Guards rushed in, weapons half drawn. An elder Aurelian priest dropped his staff in shock. "The Guardian Protocol has awakened." Valari looked around, nervous. "I didn't think it was a joke. The glowing intensified. A holographic projection burst from the armor, rising above Rain's head. A woman in regal armor appeared, tall and fierce, with glowing eyes like fire. "Who dares awaken the bloodline of Zara?" The figure boomed. Rayn slowly raised his hand. Hi." The figure stared. At him, her face unreadable. Then she knelt. The hall gasped. "You carry the spark," she said. "After 1,000 years, you stand in her place. My warrior has returned." The projection vanished. The hall went silent again. Even the walls seemed to hold their breath. Valeri's. The voice was barely a whisper. "This wasn't supposed to happen." The elder priest finally spoke. "He must be taken to the council. Now, before others feel the armor's call." Rain shook his head. "Hold on, I don't know what this is. I just put it on for fun." The priest stared at him. "There is no fun in prophecy, human. You have awakened something ancient, and now the galaxy will come looking for you." Valari stepped closer, her eyes still wide, her voice soft. "Rain, I think you just became the most important man in our empire?" Rain looked down at his glowing hands. The armor hummed like it was alive. In his heart he felt something move, something old and powerful. Now awake, Rain sat in the quiet of the alien chamber, still wearing the armor that now refused to come off. The glowing patterns had dimmed, but the warmth had not left his skin. He could still feel it, like something alive was resting inside. The metal, watching, breathing with him. Valari stood across the room, pacing. She had been quiet for too long. Her usual teasing smile was gone. She looked shaken. For someone who had joked so easily just hours ago, she now carried a face full of worry. He watched her, then finally spoke. "You didn't know this would happen, did you?" She didn't answer right away. "Oh," she said at last. "No one ever expected the armor to choose again. Hasn't bonded with anyone in 1,000 years. Shouldn't even react to humans. This breaks everything. We believe." Rain tried again to pull off the armor. Nothing. The suit tightened slightly around his arms, as if warning him not to try. It didn't hurt, but it reminded him. It was in control now. Soon, footsteps echoed down the corridor. Guards entered. Of them in polished red armor, carrying long rifles and blank expressions. Behind them walked an Aurelian elder, tall and slim, with silver feathers running from his head to shoulders. His eyes were full of wisdom and caution. "The High Council will see you," the elder said. Now, Valari stepped in front of Rain. "He didn't do this on purpose. I am the one who told him to try it." The elder looked at her with cold eyes. "Tent does not matter. The armor has awakened. It is no longer a matter of games or jokes." Rain stood, the armor moving with him silently. The guards flinched at his motion, but Rain didn't threaten anyone. Still, he noticed how they kept their fingers near their weapons. The walk to the council chamber was long and quiet. Alien statues lined the hall's warriors, frozen in stone, bearing symbols now glowing faintly as Rain passed by. He didn't miss it. The armor was reacting to something, or everything. When they reached the council dome, the door slid open, revealing 10 Aurelian elders sitting in a circle. Each wore different colored robes representing their caste, science, war, history, spirit, and more. Their faces showed no emotion. Rain was asked to step into the circle. Valari stayed behind, an elder with green skin and a crystal emblem on. His forehead spoke first. "You wear the armor of Zara, which is forbidden to all. Tell us your name, human." "Rain Carter," he said, keeping his voice even. "Commander from Earth." Second elder leaned forward. "Well, and how did you come to possess this relic?" "She gave it to me," Rain replied, nodding toward Valari. "It's a joke." The room murmured. The word joke did not seem to exist in this place. The elder raised a hand for silence. "And yet the armor accepted you. That is no small accident." Rain's voice grew firm. "Look, I didn't come here to take anything from you. I came to sign peace. To learn. I didn't know this armor would do whatever this is." Another council member woman with blue markings across her face spoke next. "Long ago, this armor chose a guardian, warrior who protected the balance between the stars. Warrior was of mixed blood, part Aurelian, part unknown." Rain frowned. "Unknown? Not from our records," she said. "But now the armor has chosen again. It means something ancient is returning, and not all will be pleased." There was a shift in the room. It's an unspoken fear. Suddenly, the dome lights flickered. A low, humming vibration filled the air. The armor on Rain's body began to glow again, only faintly. Everyone turned to look. Then the projection returned. It was her again, the warrior queen. She hovered above the chamber. Eyes locked on Rain. "You have reawakened the great pulse," she said. "The stars remember you. So will your enemies." Valari stepped forward this time, staring up at the figure. "What enemies?" The queen looked down at her. "The ones who were cast into the void long ago?
Hey,
The ones we buried.
you arise.
Now that they feel the armor's light again." With that, the image faded. Silence. An elder finally whispered. "The scourge." Rain turned. "What's the scourge?" No one answered. Not immediately. Then one elder stood and spoke slowly. "The scourge were a race we defeated ages ago, but only because the armor fought for us. It took everything. We thought they were gone. But if the armor is speaking again, They might not be. Valeri's voice shook. You're saying they'll come back? Because of him? Rain felt the weight of the room change. Suspicion, fear, tension. Another elder stood. Take him to the Hall of Flame. Let the armor be studied. Let us see if he is truly the one. Or a threat. Guards stepped forward again. Rain's fists clenched, but he nodded. Fine. Just don't treat me like a bomb. Valari pushed past the guards and walked beside him. You're not a bomb, she said softly. Then, after a pause, she added, but you're not just a man anymore either. As they walked away from the council chamber, a shadow fell over the stars above. Far in deep space, a beacon had lit, up when the armor awakened. And something very far away had just opened its eyes. Asterisk. Far beyond the quiet moon base, in a dark part of the galaxy where even starlight seemed afraid to shine, a creature sat alone on a throne made of bone and glass. Its body was covered in black armor that pulsed with deep crimson light, and its breath sounded like wind tearing through steel. It opened its eyes. A soft chime had reached Atan ancient signal, long thought dead. The signal of the armor of Zara. The creature smiled. The guardian has returned, it rasped. Let the hunt begin. Back on the Aurelian moonbase, Rain stood inside the Hall of Flame, which was more like a giant cave filled with relics. And ancient machines, his armor still refused to come off. Aurelian scientists circled him like birds, poking and scanning and mumbling to themselves in their native tongue. He didn't like it. He felt like an animal in a cage. He could hear every whisper, feel every stare, even sense when someone lied. The armor was doing something to his mind, sharpening it, stretching it. Valor, I was the only one who stayed by his side, arms crossed, clearly annoyed at the way her people were treating him. He's not a lab sample, she snapped once, pushing one of the scientists away. He's breathing. Rain gave her a look. Thanks for that comforting image. She smirked. Just telling the truth. Suddenly, the room's alarms screamed long and loud. Lights turned red. The floor rumbled. People shouted. Rain's body moved before his mind could react. The armor lit up, and his arms lifted to shield Valari from falling debris. Something exploded just outside the chamber, then silence. A guard ran in, his face pale. An attack. A strike from orbit unknown ship. Valari's eyes widened.
Already.
The council's voice boomed through speakers. Emergency lockdown. All citizens report to safety shelters. Repeat, this is not a drill. Rain's hands clenched into fists. They're coming for the armor. Valari didn't argue. We need to move now. Rain ran beside her, every movement enhanced by the armor. His footsteps felt lighter, his breathing faster but calmer. He could see ahead clearly even through. Walls outside, chaos ruled. The sky above the moon base was split open by fire. A massive dark ship hovered above the dome, black as night and shaped like a blade. It launched another wave of glowing red missiles that curved through the air like guided beasts. The Aurelian defense grid activated. Something inside him snapped into focus. His right arm moved on its own. A pulse of golden energy shot from the armor, striking one of the incoming missiles mid-air. It shattered like glass. I gasped. Yeah, how did you do that? I didn't, Rain said. The armor did. Another wave of missiles came. This time Rain raised both hands. The armor responded, again emitting a dome of shimmering gold that covered the landing zone. The missiles hit the dome and exploded. Harmlessly, the alien soldiers watching nearby fell silent. The priest from earlier stepped forward, bowing deeply. You are not a guardian. ... You are a weapon. Oh. Rain turned slowly. Oh. Then maybe it's time someone pointed me in the right direction. Valari grabbed his arm. Come with me. I know where they're attacking from. Together, they sprinted. Down a long corridor toward the southern airlock. The ship above them began lowering strange black pod stroops. They're boarding, Valari muttered. This isn't a warning, this is a message. As they reached the end of the hall, the wall exploded inward. Rain shielded Valari again as shards flew past. Through the smoke, tall figures stepped forward. Insectoid in shape, armored in living metal, with 4 burning red eyes each. They held weapons made of bone and plasma, and their steps made the floor shake. Valerie's voice trembled. Ah, Scourge. The enemy had returned. Rain took a breath. He was not a soldier trained to fight aliens. He was a diplomat, a peacekeeper. But now, peace was no longer on the table. The armor moved with him, as if it had waited centuries for this moment. He dashed forward faster than any human could, ducked under a swing from the nearest Scourge warrior, struck it in the chest. The armor pulsed. The blow shattered the alien's chest plate like glass. Valarie ducked behind a support beam, firing her energy pistol with perfect aim, covering Rain's flank. The Scourge screamed in their tongue, regrouping. More fell through the breach, at least 12 now. Rain was surrounded, but his armor responded again. Without command, glowing extensions of the armor's will, he became a blur. Valarie stared in awe as Rain moved like a creature born for battle. Every swing landed perfectly. Every dodge was instinct. Didn't speak, didn't think he flowed. Like a warrior queen reborn in human skin. Within minutes, all 12 Scourge soldiers lay broken. Rain stood in the center of the destruction, his armor slowly dimming again. Silence returned. Valerie stepped forward carefully. You were never just wearing the armor. Then what does that make me now? Valarie didn't answer, because outside the broken walls of the base, 3 more Scourge warships had arrived, darker than the first. Larger, older, and far above them, hidden behind a shadowed moon. The ancient warlord, who had first felt the armor's call, had begun moving toward them. The stolen starcruiser groaned under the weight of hurried repairs, its systems flickering as Rain and Valarie raced through the cramped corridors. The air was thick with tension and the smell of burnt circuits. Outside, the red glow of battle faded behind them, but danger was far from over. Valerie's hands flew over the control panel. I'm rerouting power to the engines, but we won't outrun their fleet for long. They know we have the armor now. Rain clenched his fists, still feeling the hum of the armor pulsing faintly beneath his skin. Then we need to find a place where they can't reach us. Somewhere hidden. Valérie's eyes darted nervously. There is one place, the Lost Hollow. Perfect for hiding. Rain nodded. Take us there, fast. Cruiser lurched as the engines sparked to life. Stars stretched and blurred past the viewports as they jumped into hyperspace, leaving chaos behind, but not the fear. Inside, silence settled briefly. Rain leaned against a bulkhead, trying to understand the strange memories flooding his mind. The armor was more than metal. It held echoes of battles he never fought, voices of warriors long dead. Sometimes he saw flashes, fierce faces, broken weapons, distant screams. Valarie approached quietly. The armor is showing you its past. You're connected to those who wore it before. The past isn't safe. It's a warning. Rain looked up. A warning of what? Before she could answer, the ship shuddered violently. Alarms blared again. Incoming, Valarie shouted, hitting a button. Outside the window, a swarm of sleek black fighters appeared, closing in fast. Rain's heart pounded, but the armor reacted instantly. His body moved with new speed and strength. He grabbed the nearby controls, firing back with precision lasers enhanced by the armor's targeting. Explosions lit the void. One fighter exploded in a ball of fire, then another. The attackers swerved. Regrouping, Vlea, I shouted over the noise. They won't stop until they have the armor. Rain's voice was calm but firm, and we'll make sure they don't get either. Suddenly, the ship's systems glitched. Lights flickered. The starcruiser slowed. The engines are hit. Valarie cursed, her fingers flying across. The panels were losing power. Rain felt panic rise, but forced it down. Where's the nearest safe spot? Valerie's jaw tightened. Almost there. Lost Hollow. But we have less time than I thought. More enemy ships appeared, encircling them like wolves closing in on prey. The starcruiser shuddered as missiles slammed into its shields. Sparks flew, panels exploded. Smoke filled the corridors. Rain grabbed Valarie's arm. Prepare for impact. Hold on. The ship lurched hard, slamming into a rocky asteroid drifting silently in the belt. Alarms screamed, lights died, and the world shook when the trembling stopped. Silence followed, only broken by distant cracking sounds. Valari was the first to speak. "We made it, but just barely." Rain looked out through a cracked viewport. The Lost Hollow was a graveyard of broken ships and forgotten dreams. Jagged rocks floated silently, hiding their refuge in shadow. But the enemy ships had followed. They began to deploy landing pods. Rain felt the armor pulse stronger. It was as if it knew a battle was near this time on the ground. Close, personal. Valari took a deep breath. "This is where we fight." Together they rushed to the cargo bay. Valari pulled a small energy rifle from a crate and handed it to Rain. The armor's golden blades flickered out from his arms, ready as the enemy pods touched down around them. The armor was alive now. It was part of him. He was no longer just a man. He was a warrior reborn, the first scourge charged. Rain moved faster than thought possible, slashed with his golden blades, cutting through the enemy's armor, as if it were paper. Every strike was precise, every step calculated. Valari covered his back, her shots stunning foes before they could reach him. The battle was fierce. The rocky terrain echoed with screams and the clash of weapons. But Rain and Valari fought like a single force, unstoppable and fierce. Hours seemed to pass like minutes. Finally, the last enemy fell. Rain stood amidst the silence, breathing hard. The armor's glow dimmed, but inside him a fire burned brighter than ever. Valari approached, eyes shining. "You're more than I ever imagined." Rain looked at her and smiled tiredly. "We both have a long road ahead." From the shadows, a voice whispered in the wind, cold and full of menace. "This is only the beginning." Far beyond the Lost Hollow, hidden eyes watched their every move. The true war was about to begin. The cold silence of the Lost Hollow was broken only by the soft hum of the Star Cruiser's failing systems. Rain sat alone in the small cabin, the armor resting beside him like a sleeping giant. He ran his fingers over its smooth, glowing surface, feeling the pulse of power beneath the metal. It was as if the armor had a memory on ancient mind locked. Inside its frame, suddenly, the armor emitted a soft light. And a faint voice whispered in his mind, a language he did not understand but somehow felt deep within his soul. The voice carried images, flashes of distant stars, fierce battles, and faces long gone. Rain closed his eyes and let the visions wash over him. He saw a great war raging across galaxies. Armies of countless species clashing in fire and shadow. At the center stood a warrior queen, fierce and unyielding, where she wielded the very armor he now wore. Around her, legions fell, enemies fled, and entire worlds were reshaped. Then the vision changed. He saw a human child born among aliens, hidden from the eyes of all. That child grew, carrying the bloodline of both worlds. The armor was made for that child's spirit, waiting for the time to awaken once more. Rain opened his eyes, breath shallow. "I'm part of this ... mixed bloodline." Before he could ponder more, a soft knock came at the door. Valari stepped inside, her face drawn but determined. "You shouldn't be alone with the armor," she said. "It's not just a weapon, it's a living legacy. It needs guidance, and so do you." Rain looked up. "I keep seeing things, memories I never lived. Battles, people, ... warnings." Valari nodded. "The armor is connected to the past and to the future. It has chosen you to carry its burden. But that means you are not just fighting your enemies out there, you are fighting what lives inside it." Rain stood slowly, the armor's light faintly glowing in response. "Show me," he said. Valari hesitated, then led him to a hidden chamber deep within the cruiser. Inside, an ancient device sat on a pedestal, a spherical projector covered. In alien runes, this was left by the first wearers of the armor, Valari explained. "It records the memories and experiences of those who bonded with it. You can learn from them, ... but be careful. Not all memories are kind." Rain placed his armored hand on the device. The sphere flared to life, bathing the room in soft blue. Light dot images flooded his mind again, but this time clearer. He saw the first guardian Zara herself, leading her people to victory, but also making terrible sacrifices. He saw her facing betrayal by those she trusted, her kingdom torn apart by enemies who feared her power. He felt her pain, her strength, and her loneliness. Then the device shifted, showing him the armor's own secret. It was created not just to protect, but to imprison a terrible darkness, a rage so fierce it could consume worlds. The armor was a cage, and its wearer the key. Rain staggered back, gasping. So this power, it's dangerous. Valari stepped closer. If you lose control, the armor will take over. It will fight its own war, regardless of what you want. Rain clenched his fists. Then I need to learn how to control it before it controls me. As he spoke, the armor glowed brighter as if responding. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the cruiser. Valaris' eyes widened. They found us. The enemy fleet has tracked us to Lost Hollow. This is no accident. Rain felt the armor hum stronger, urgent, alive. We need to prepare, Valari said. This time they won't just attack, they want to take the armor from you. And if they do, it will mean the end of everything we fight for. Rain nodded. Then we fight harder. As the cruiser's systems struggled to hold together, Rain and Valari worked side by side, repairing defenses, setting traps, readying for a battle unlike any they had faced before. Outside, the dark warships loomed, closing in like predators sensing their prey. Rain looked down at the armor once more, the glow now steady, powerful. Inside his mind, Zara's voice whispered softly, "You are the guardian we waited for. But the true test has only just begun." Asterisk, the sky above the Lost Hollow burned red as the enemy fleet began its final assault. Huge warships, black as void and sharper than blades, unleashed their firepower on the battered cruiser and the rocky asteroids surrounding it. Explosions cracked through space and shards of metal drifted like deadly stars falling into the silence. Rain stood at the prow of the cruiser, armor glowing softly, every sense heightened. His mind was a storm of memories, instincts, and the weight of the armor's power. The battle was not just for survival, it was for the future of two worlds. Valari stood beside him, her eyes fierce beneath the pale glow of the emergency lights. She held her rifle tightly, ready to defend the man who was becoming more than just a soldier. He was becoming a legend. "Rain," she said, voice steady, "this is where it ends. We hold this place, or we lose everything." He nodded. "Then let's make sure they remember our names." The enemy ships fired again, tearing holes in the asteroid belt. Black pods descended like swarms of deadly insects, releasing wave after wave of scourge warriors. Their shrieks echoed in the void, mixing with the roar of energy weapons and the clash of metal. Rain's armor flared bright gold, blades extended from his arms, humming with energy. He leaped from the cruiser, landing on a jagged rock with the grace of a predator. The first scourge charged, their four eyes burning with rage. Out! Rain met them with a strike that shattered armor and bone alike. Each movement was precise and deadly. The armor guiding him like a master warrior, Valari fired from a nearby ridge, picking off enemies with cool efficiency. Her shots echoed in the silence, a sharp contrast to the wild cries of the scourge. As the battle raged, Rain began to hear the armor whisper again memories of battles, strategies, warnings. It urged him forward, pushing him beyond human limits. But the fight was taking its toll. Valari fell to a plasma blast, crashing hard against the rocks. Rain was there instantly, catching her before she hit the ground. "Valari," he shouted, panic cutting through the chaos. She smiled weakly. "I'm fine, but we need to finish this." Rain lifted her gently and carried her toward the cruiser's defensive wall. The enemy pressed hard, breaking through the first lines. Inside the cruiser, the Council's voice crackled over comms. "Reinforcements are on their way. Hold your ground." Rain looked at Valari, determination burning in his eyes. "We won't just hold, we'll win." Suddenly, a massive scourge warlord emerged from the shadows, towering over the battlefield. Its armor pulsed with dark energy, eyes fixed on Rain. The armor inside Rain flared violently. The connection between them deepened a bond formed by fate and fire. The two clashed, the air charged with energy. Rain's golden blades met the warlord's jagged weapons in a storm of sparks and roars. Each strike pushed them both to the edge. Rain felt the armor's power surge, threatening to overwhelm his mind. The warlord smiled cruelly, sensing victory. But Rain remembered the whispers, the sacrifices of the past, the strength of the Guardian. With a final, powerful strike, he shattered the warlord's armor. The creature fell, defeated. The battlefield grew quiet. The remaining scourge fled into the shadows, broken and beaten. Valari smiled weakly. You did it. Rain lowered his blades, breathing hard. We did it together. But as the dust settled, a shadow passed over the stars. Far beyond the lost hollow, new enemy watched and waited, ready to strike when the time was right. The true war was far from over. The stars above Lost Hollow shone cold and distant as Rain and Valari stood together on the shattered bridge of the cruiser. The battle was over for now. The silence that filled the air was heavy, full of unspoken questions and hard-won relief. Rain looked down at his hands, still glowing faintly with the armor's light. The golden blades had retracted, and the warmth settled into a steady pulse beneath his skin. He was no longer just a man from Earth. He was something new, a guardian, a legend reborn. Valari stepped beside him, her hand brushing against his arm. The Council wants you to rule, to lead our people into the future. Rain shook his head slowly. I'm not sure I want that. This armor, this power, it's a responsibility, not a throne. She smiled softly. Then what do you want? Rain looked out at the stars, his eyes clear and steady. Peace. Between our worlds, no more war. No more fear. Valari's eyes glistened. That is a brave dream. But dreams need warriors, Rain said. I will fight for that peace, not as a ruler, but as a protector, with you by my side. She nodded, a quiet strength in her gaze. Then we'll face whatever comes together. As they spoke, a soft hum rose from the armor. The light grew steady and strong, as if affirming their pact. Suddenly, the ship's sensors beeped a faint signal, distant but unmistakable. Valari frowned. That's not from here. Something, or someone, is watching. Rain's heart tightened. The war they fought was only the beginning. Beyond the stars, a new threat stirred. A hidden force that had waited for the armor's awakening and now moved to claim it. He gripped Valari's hand firmly. Whatever comes next, we face it head-on. The cruiser's engines hummed to life, steady and sure. Together they prepared to leave the Lost Hollow behind and return to a galaxy still full of danger and hope. The legacy of the warrior queen lived on in them both, shining brighter than any star. And so, a new chapter began. The end.